What's going on? Wild Scrubs Runner coming at you with another talk and presentation on what is best for wide feet runners. I mentioned before in my last couple of videos that we need shoes that is wide because we have wide feet. And with wide feet, we tend to have flat feet as well. So it's important that we actually have shoes that fit us. Now, the other shoe that I talked about was Structure 22. It has great stability in the forefoot and also at the heel with the great heel counter, and it is constructed to where the technology allows to guide you through a reduced pronation as much as possible. So, and the Zoom Air unit also gives you a little bit of support and that ground feel that is not too cushioned and not too hard as well. So it's a great shoe that I've been wearing ever since I got injured a couple of weeks ago when I did two time trials, a 4.2 miler and a 10K, and it's been serving me well. However, in my non-injured or a little bit of compromised days when I am training and I am on the more active side where speed is a little bit more of a priority to get better, you got to put in those not fast intervals but aerobic actual aerobic with anaerobic type of interval workouts. Therefore, I needed shoes that will actually help me out with responsiveness and lightness, and as well as having a wide forefoot because a lot of my strikes or my strides, either when I am running or walking, mostly is a midfoot striker. Now, what does a midfoot striker mean? It means that I use the forefoot half of the shoe to use to propel myself to go through my full kinetic stride. It goes like this. Here's the forefoot area. It's color coded for you guys, and I use mostly this area and up in order to establish that good push off like that. I'm not a heel striker whatsoever based on what I see whenever I look at the bottom of my shoe after I run. So therefore I needed a wide forefoot, not only for my wide feet but also for that proper way of completing a stride. So, like I showed you a couple seconds ago, I have here the Nike Zoom Pegasus Turbo 2. I got a white pair so that you all can see just a basic concept of the shoe. It is very light and responsive, and it also, as you guys can see, it has fairly wide forefoot as well. And this is the important part of this. And the other aspect about this is that it feels great on foot because of the upper, and we will get through that. Let's go through statistics really quick. This has a 16 millimeter forefoot stack height, and at the back 24 millimeter height, heel height, stack height. I'm sorry, and with the offset of 8 millimeter offset. For a size 8, this has 179 grams and or 6.3 ounces for weight. Now, like I said in my last video, it's important for us to use the insoles. And what I have, and I will link, there's a link down below too that you guys can get a pair of these insoles, are these Superfeet Carbon. I've been using this for non-stability shoes, and this is a non-stability shoes. Unlike the Structure 22, the Structure 22 is made for stability shoes, but these are just what is called a, not a neutral, but more of a responsive slash cushion, not too cushioned, not too. It's basically your regular run of the mill regular shoe type. I can't explain it. There is stability, there's cushioning, and then there is there's three categories that shoe usually falls under, and I can't remember the third one. But this is basically your regular type of shoes. Now, this is also a shoe that does not come in wide sizes or extra wide sizes, but you don't have to, and I'll get to that here in a bit. So going back to the insoles, since this shoe is not a stability shoe, I use these to stabilize myself, and I put these on and have my run at it. Now, this actually is a very light shoe. Therefore, you don't have to think of the shoe as being too heavy, or you don't have to worry about the weight of the shoe basically. The Structure 22s is way heavier than this. Like I said, 179 grams, but with the insoles, it'll increase to 217 grams. That is minuscule jump for what you can benefit from using the insole. And or 7.7 ounces, that's a jump from 6.3 ounces with these in there. And like I said, this is not a stability shoes, and these insoles will help you stabilize your feet or your stride much better, and or at least it will prevent you from pronating, which is important part. Now for the upper is very breathable, and you can see that because if you hold it up in the light, it's not that it's transparent, but it's more or less translucent compared to other Nike shoes. You can see that there are definitely light shining through, so it's very breathable, and when you put it on, you don't have to worry about overheating. I've ran in these through as cold as I believe 38 degrees Fahrenheit to as high as 110-degree Fahrenheit, and these performed very well. Now, I like this because, like I said, this has a big forefoot, and the forefoot is very important. Having a big forefoot will give you that stability, even though this is not a stability shoes. Also, the upper is very expandable. It's very accommodating. What that means is that each time your feet needs to splay, it will allow you to splay, but not to a point that it feels messy. It will still give you a resistance that is appropriate to keep your feet in, but it gives you enough splay or the widening of your feet in each stride in order to give you the proper stability and or use of your foot power each time you splay. It is not constrictive, like I said, like in my previous videos, like the Flyknits, the 4% Flyknits, the Epic React Flyknit. Any Flyknit is so constricting and so unforgiving that your foot basically goes from this instead of more of a relaxed playing ability like this. This is a huge chance that you will get injured if your feet is more crunched up like this. So therefore, great shoes. And as far as the lacing system, it doesn't have fly wire. So to me, I don't I can care less about the fly wire, and the only shoes that I like fly wire in is actually in the Structure 22, even though it is somewhat not constrictive. You won't feel it in the Structure 22 compared to, for me at least, compared to the regular Pegasus 36 or 35. I those I can feel the wire really cutting into my feet each time I take one big stride. Now also for the upper, like I said, the lacing system is more of a stagnant eyelet, which creates a great security for your feet. Now, also, if you want to establish a more of a lockdown feeling, you can do that by tightening each compartments or each section of this eyelet sections as the way that it will feel better for you. I would go out for warm up runs, and in those warm up runs, that's where I'm gonna make my adjustments as so. The only thing about this is that it doesn't have too long of a shoelace at the end of the day. Therefore, if you're trying to do a runner's knot, those of you who are familiar with runner's knot, I believe that it's going to be difficult for you to establish that. However, the stagnation of the eyelets will actually give you the security that you need, that you will seem like you don't need to actually have the runner's knot. And also for the tongue, it is not a gusseted tongue or one sock like upper. It actually has a very thin tongue. So those who are not a fan of big tongues like the turbo ones, or they called it Pegasus 35 Turbo, it has a very cushioned tongue, and having a thin tongue does not mean that it's going to cut up your ankles as well. I found it actually more of a comfort because having wide feet, I have a lot of feet going into this shoe. Therefore, I need as much volume of a space as possible, and having this less cushioned tongue actually made a better secure fitting for me. And that is talking about with these insoles in there. And as for the bottom is very nicely constructed. It the I don't know what it is, what kind of rubber it is, but for hundreds and hundreds of miles that I ran in, I believe the most that I've ran in one of my shoes has been 277 miles over a span of 2 months, 2 or 3 months, I forgot the numbers. And I looked at the bottoms and they were still intact. Therefore, the outsoles will actually last for as long as you want it to last. So that is great news. And as well as it may seem narrow over here, but like I said, if you want a better secure fit, you will loosen this upper in order to feel that security, or not as narrow as what this is showing you, because also the upper is so compliant that it will allow your feet to actually be thicker than the shoe, but it won't be sloppy as well because this is very thin, but not like the Alphaflys. It's not gonna give you so much of a compliance that you will feel like you're falling off of the shoe and you are unstable. This is very secure upper, and that's why I like the Pegasus Turbo 2 so much. And the bottoms is a Zoom X technology. It is a foam that is very light and responsive. It is used for Nike's high-end running shoes like the Alphaflys and the Next Percents. And the more that you have the Zoom X, the better. However, these will not, I wouldn't say it will not last as long as the React foam. It's another type of foam that is used in other Nike shoes like the Epic Reacts. But these, I believe, has a lower lifetime than a React would, or the Infinity Reacts as well. Therefore, therefore, I'm hesitant to say this because it may dissuade you from getting these shoes, but it it will last. This shoe will, I can see going up to 200 to 300 miles. Okay, but with heavy speed intervals, it will lessen that time because it's you're just gonna put a lot of stress and and flatten out the cushioning on these. Now it's not. I hope that's not going to dissuade you from getting these, because the important thing about wide feet runners is that the upper makes you feel secure, and with these insoles, it'll make you feel stable, and it will prevent injuries. The ZoomX technology does have a history of being in the Nike Next Percents and Alphafly Next Percents that will reduce your risk of injury. And I've been using these, and I've been working through niggles and which is a little bit of injury throughout my whole 2 3 months, probably less than maybe a month and a half of working out, leading to my 2 time trials that I did back in April 18 and April 19. Therefore, it, I have several, actually a lot of pairs of these with different colors. That's because I like them so much. This is the most responsive shoe that I've ever tried on, that gives me my stability, that gives me my fit, that gives me my ventilation in the upper, and gives me my secure fit as well. With the it's light, it's responsive, and the traction is one of the best that I've felt. I've ran in wet weathers, and I felt that compared to the Nike Next Percent, I feel like this type of material, or the outsoles, I was able to make sharper turns. I'm not sure if it's a placebo effect, or if it has to do something with how wide the forefoot is compared to the Nike Next Percents, which I believe they both have the same. I believe the Nike Next Percent has about 1 millimeter more of a forefoot width than these. However, this just gives you a daily training option that is great. I use these for short runs, long runs, and speed interval workouts. And as far as the design, it looks very cool. It looks very futuristic. I like the tail. A lot of people don't like the tail for some reason. I don't know why. I do like the tail because it has a purpose. It gives you a bounce back feeling. This angle that's created over here allows you, if you are ever a heel foot striker, it will transition you from your heel to forefoot a lot better than the previous models. So that's what I like about this. Overall, this is my second favorite shoes other than the Structure 22. Check it out. It's the Nike Zoom Pegasus Turbo 2. It is ranging between, as I think, as low as 119 to as much as $180 market price. So check it out. It's great for wide feet runners, and I highly recommend picking up any of these that are on sale. I put my wife on these. That's how much I believe in it, and she is also a wide feet runner as well. So, with that in mind, comment below. Don't forget to subscribe and like this video, and check out my channel for future contents. Thank you so much. It's Wild Scrubs Runner coming at you. And until next time, thank you.